Hi there, crafty peeps. Enis here from Papercrafting with Enis, and I'm on today to do a little requested video. So a couple of days ago, I created these cute little chip bags for the Happy Crafter Shop as a design team project. And I mentioned in the video, if anyone wanted to know how to make these bags, that I'd be happy to do a quick video. They're not hard, and so I thought, okay, well, if some people are interested, which they seem to be, I guess I will. So you don't need any special equipment to do this. It should be pretty easy, and hopefully this won't take too long. So in preparation for creating, I did already die cut and glue together a couple of these peppermint candies and some of the sentiments, and these are the Christmas Words 2025 and the peppermint candies from the Scrap Diva. I want to say this was October and this was November, but I can't really remember for sure. So anyway, I have those dies that I've already cut out and put together, and I am going to be using a piece of paper from this Candy Christmas paper collection. I've already cut that out, and I'll show you what I did there. And I'm using some of this decorative mesh from the Dollar Tree. Now, this is white mesh, and it actually has a pink, I don't know if you want to call it a thread, but it's got some pink that runs through it. It's hard to see it on the screen. Oh, right here, I think you can probably see a little of the pink there. I didn't have any pink to go with this project, so this was the best I could come up with. What was my stash? And I'm also using some pink and white twine that I had in my stash. So this is what we have here. I cut a piece of that mesh, and this is it's around 10 inches, and it's kind of wonky. This stuff has a mind of its own. So we're going to use this to make the bow. I took that piece of paper, and it was a 12 by 12 sheet. I cut it into a 6 by 12, so I'm going to set one of those aside. I created a little dangle with some beads. I already had wire wrapped and over here on my table. We're going to use a little snowman there as a focal point, and here are my little goodies already taken care of. So we're going to start out here making the bag, okay? So like I said, this is about a 6 by 12, and I can see it's cut a little bit crooked, but that's okay because we're going to do some trimming anyway. So what we're going to do with this is you can use your double-sided tape, you can use your glue gun, you can use wet glue, whatever you want to use, any kind of adhesive. I'm actually going to use this ATG gun. Okay, so first of all, we're going to kind of put this together with a little bit of an overlap. And you're not going to press it all the way down, but you're going to give it a gentle press just so you know where your margins are going to be. And I have an overlap probably about an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch there, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ATG gun or wet glue or whatever you want, and I'm just going to put that down one side and along the bottom. Okay, so let me get that on there. Okay, and then we're going to fold these back in together, and we're going to line this up, making sure that, now like I said, I know my paper is crooked, so I'm just going to make sure my top is lined up. And we're just going to press that down gently. Okay, so we should have this kind of a tube thing. And then we can press along the bottom. Okay, now I'm going to bring in my scoreboard and my scoring tool. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to score at every 1/8 inch, and I'm going to do 4 score lines. So you can do as many or as few as you want, but I'm going to do 4. And you're just going to score all the way across. And like I said, I'm doing every 1/8 of an inch. And if you have a crimper, you can use your crimper, but my crimper isn't wide enough to do a 6-inch piece of paper, so I opted for this. And I'm having some trouble. Let me flip this over and see. Maybe that'll work better. Okay, and you're just going to score along. And like I said, I'm doing 4 scores. And then I'm going to flip it around, and I'm going to do 4 scores on this side as well. Okay. And I see I'm being a little bit crooked. That's okay. Believe me, nobody's going to know, and as long as you're close, that's all right. Okay. That's score number 3, and this will be score number 4. Okay. All right, so now we have this, and that is the base of our bag. Now, you don't have to do this, but I am going to do it. I'm going to use some pinking shears, and these are scissors that have these V-cuts on them, and I'm just going to trim along the very edge of the bag. And this is why I said it doesn't matter if the paper doesn't line up perfectly, because we're going to trim this off anyway, or at least I am. You don't have to do this step. I just like the look. Okay, so there we have our little score marks. And if you want more score marks, like I've actually clipped off a couple there, you can add more. Matter of fact, I'm going to do that because I trimmed a little bit more than I should have. And that's okay. Just going to add one more back in. All right, so there we have our little score marks. Okay, so that's that. And now our bag is pretty much ready. I'm going to actually add in some double-sided tape. And I could have done this before I put the bag together, but duh. I was not thinking because I'm talking. And I'm just going to take that double-sided tape and put it inside the bag a little bit away from the edge, because remember, we're going to trim that edge off. So we're just going to line that up in there, and I'll show you in just a second. Okay, so you can see I have that in there, and it is away from the edge because eventually I'm going to nip that off. I'm not going to do that just yet. I could if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. Okay, so there's our basic bag. And now it's time to decorate. And I know that I'm going to put a little dangle on mine, so I'm going to get my crocodile. And I'm using the smallest hole. And I am just going to come in here. And I'm going to pop 2 little holes in there. 1, 2, and they should be relatively close together. They don't have to be perfect, but they need to be relatively close together, because that's where we're going to hang the dangle. And I can actually put that on there right now, since I'm talking about it. So I just have a couple of beads wired up there. Sorry, I've got my camera in a different place right now, and so I keep going off screen. I'm sorry about that. So I'm just going to go through with my bulb pin, through one hole and out the other, and then I'm just going to clip it. Okay, so there's my little dangle. All right, pretty easy, right? Okay, so now we have our decorations here. So I did make a few of these. I don't know if I'm going to use them all. I may not. I'm not sure. But I do have Christmas candy cane, or candy cane Christmas. And then I have this. So my original thought was to do this. Okay. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll make an extra candy, peppermint candy or 2. Not sure how I'm going to put them in there. But I do know I'm going to do that. Now, I think I want something behind here. And by the way, when I put these together, I did use foam in between all the layers, so they are popped up a little bit. I think I want to use a little bit of mesh behind here. So give me a second. I'm going to grab another Dollar Tree mesh. So let's see. How about this one? This is one of the snow tools. And I'm just going to cut a little piece off. I'm not measuring it. I'm just grabbing a piece. And let's see. How do I want to do this? I think I'm going to fold it in half like that. We're crafting on the fly here, okay? You got your tutorial on how to put the bag together already. All right. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of ruffle this up a little bit. And normally I would use my sewing machine to do this, but I'm not going to do that this time. Okay, so I think my hot glue gun should be a little bit warmed up now. So I'm just going to put a little of that on my candy cane, or on my peppermint. And I'm just going to kind of ruffle this up a little bit, just so we have a little something going on in the back there, okay? So that's that. And I think I'm going to say Candy Cane Christmas. And I think I'll offset them. Think that looks good? I think that looks good. So I'm going to use some hot glue. You can use whatever kind of glue you want. Okay. Candy cane. Christmas. Okay. Oh, you know what? I accidentally put this on the back of the bag. So I'm going to I'll redo this. Oh, that's what I get for trying to do a craft with me. Okay. Let me get this off of here. And we'll take care of that in a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to put this here. So let me just get a little hot glue going on here. And I think I'm going to kind of put it on a little bit of an angle. Okay. And let's see. That's the beginning of it. Now, the reason I wanted to put this on first is because when we put our bow on, I've got to make sure that I put it on in a place that, you know, is going to mesh with what's already going on here. So this is how we're going to make this bow. I've got some string cut here. I've got, let's see, I have two pieces that are about 17 or 18 inches, and then I've just got a scrap piece. And this is the piece we're going to use to make our bow. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold it into thirds, okay? And this stuff is really, it's tricky, okay? So you got to work with it, okay? And then I'm going to take the ends and I'm going to fold them in towards the center and fold that one in. Now you want to make sure you get past the center with those ends, okay? Because if you don't, all this frayed stuff is going to come loose. Okay, so I've got that done. So now I am just going to wrap this around and tie it very tightly in the center. And like I said, you want to get this good and tight. If you have to have another person to help you out, then by all means do that. Okay. All right. And then just kind of work this around till you get a shape that you like. Now see, I've got some loose ends sticking out here, but I'm going to use some hot glue and glue that down. But there is the basis of the bow. And actually, why don't I hot glue that down right now? Okay. Because nobody's going to see the back side of this. So I'm just going to throw some hot glue on there just to tidy up those ends that didn't get caught in the twine. So for those of you who think that I'm a perfect or great crafter, dream on, okay? I'm just going to nip off some of these extra strings sticking out here just to neaten up our bow a little bit. And I'm going to leave these hanging down because I think that might actually be kind of cute. Okay. All right, so while that hot glue is drying, I'm going to take this piece and we're going to tie a bow. Now, I doubled the string up because I like that double bow look. So what I'm going to do is just make a little loop there. And by the way, this is probably too much string, but that's okay. Make a little loop, wrap it around, tie myself a bow. And then just adjust it however you want. And I kind of like one loop being larger than the other loop. So figure out which one you want to adjust and just pull the strings. Okay. And make sure that's good and tight. And adjust it until it looks good to you. All right. So now I'm going to hot glue the twine bow on top of my mesh bow. Okay. Let's add some hot glue here. And glue that on, and don't burn your fingers because you know it's going to get hot. Just adjust those until they look the way you want them to look. Okay, and I'm just going to trim off my strings. Oh. Okay. So there's my bow. Now I have this little snowman I want to put in the middle. And a lot of times hot glue doesn't work the best on something like this. So I'm actually going to use E6000. I think that's going to work for me. Now I know it's going to take time to dry, but that's okay. Okay. Just put a little blob on there. And I'm going to attach my little snowman. I think that he or she is very cute. Okay, and we know that's going to have to sit overnight to dry, so we have to be careful with that, okay? And now we can attach the bow to our bag. So more with the hot glue, and I'm actually adding more hot glue in here because I don't want those loose ends to come loose even farther. So I think that looks good right there. So I'm just going to attach that right there. Okay. So I think that looks really cute. I might want to shorten these strings up a little bit though. Okay. So there's that. And because I messed up and punched the holes on the wrong side of the bag, let me repunch some holes. Okay. You want 2 little holes relatively close together. And I'm going to open up my bulb pin here. Yeah, I haven't done much in the way of craft with me's in a while, so this craft with me feels a little bit rough. Okay. And let me think, do I want to add any of these other peppermints on here? I could add one down here. And then I have this larger one. I think just one Let me get some foam tape to go behind there. Got some good old-fashioned foam tape from the Happy Crafter Shop. Just add okay, and I think I'll tuck that up underneath. So there you have it. There's our cute little candy cane bag. I may do some more embellishing. I kind of wish I would have put this a little bit closer. Let me see if I can get that off. No, it's not going to come off. Yeah, I may do a little bit more embellishing on the bag, but that is the basic bag there. And the only thing that's left to do is fill it up. And then I will go ahead and use my pinking shears and just trim off a tiny bit off the top of the bag, just so it has that cute little zigzaggy look. Okay, so there you go. There's our little bag. Now you know how I made these bows. Not hard at all. And yeah, now I've got a cute little bag ready for some Happy Mail. So thanks for watching. Sorry if it was a little bit crazy here and there. Like I said, I haven't done any craft with me's in a while. And when I talk and craft at the same time, I don't always do my best. So anyway, that's what I've got for you today. I hope you enjoyed that. And now you know how to make these bags. All you need is a piece of paper, a scoreboard, a scoring tool, and some glue or some double-sided tape. And there you have it. So thanks a lot, and I will catch you all in the next crafty video. See you later, crafty peeps. Bye.